Hi guys. Have I ever told you about the time that I got ran over by a motorcycle? So run over is when a car hits you when you're, walking. So I got ran over by a motorcycle in Paris. Not anywhere. In Paris, France. So, first of all, I arrived to Paris very late. It was about 11 p.m. at night. So it was very late. I was very tired. It was a very long trip. I went from Amsterdam to Paris. It's a 7-hour bus ride. So I was very tired. It was very late at night. And I was trying to find my friend's house without GPS. Yeah, I know. Some mistakes there that I should have known. Anyway, so I was tired and without a GPS, and I was trying to cross the street. Just so you know, I had never been to Paris before. I didn't know the neighborhood I was at. I didn't know the area. So I was very apprehensive. I was very afraid of being somewhere new. So here I am, backpack on, my carry-ons, and 2 bags that I had for gifts for my friend, like chocolates and things. And I'm like, my hands are full. And I try crossing the street and the crosswalk, okay? The crosswalk are the white lines. So I was in the right. I was at the crosswalk waiting for people to stop. And a car stopped. But once I started crossing and I was looking to the other side, a motorcycle came between the cars and hit me, ran me over. So yeah, it hit me, I flew, my bags flew away, I went to the ground, and everybody stopped. I remember there was these people in a bar across the street, and they ran to help me. And they were like, "Are you okay? Oh my God, are you okay?" And I'm like, what just happened? So the people helped me and they called the firemen, they called an ambulance. And the person on the motorcycle, the guy, he stopped and he made sure I was okay. The guy in the car stopped. I stopped traffic, okay? I definitely stopped traffic. Stop traffic is an expression about, that person stops the traffic. It's a very beautiful person. So I definitely stopped traffic, but not for good reasons, for bad reasons. But the good side of this story, in the good light of the story, I got to meet the firemen of Paris, which are very tall and handsome. So that was interesting, very interesting. Great, guys. So I hope you're doing okay. And if you haven't figured out yet, I am helping you how to tell a story in English effectively. Okay? So I'm going to teach you some sentences and some important things for you to have in mind when you're telling a story in English. Do you want your stories to get fluid and fluent, So try to use these expressions I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you so many good resources. I hope you use it all because it will help you so much with your native speaker. So first of all, I'm going to teach you some expressions to start. Oh, yeah, before I start with that, sorry, going back. I'm going to first tell you about a big difference in English between story and history. Because I know, for example, in Portuguese, which is my first language, history, we use history for both history and story. But in English, you have a difference between the two. History, with an H, history, the pronunciation, history comes from the throat, is about events in the past. So when you talk about Napoleon, or you talk about the First World War, or if you talk about Hitler or Egypt, that's history. Okay? History with an H. If you're talking about an anecdote, just a story about life, somebody told you or you lived, or a story about a movie or a book, you're going to say story. Story. You see? Story. There's no H, okay? It's S-T-O-R-Y. Story. So that's a very important distinction. And a lot of people ask if you should tell your story in the past or in the present. It depends. You can choose either way. If you're talking about the past, I told my story in the past about the time I got ran over in Paris. But I could have told you a story. I could have told you the same story in present tense. So I could say, I arrive in Paris and I'm trying to cross the street when this motorcycle comes and hits me. So that would be the present. You can choose either or. Sometimes the present makes the story a little bit more engaging. So I will give you as an example a thing from the BBC website where they tell a story in the past and tell a story in the present, the same story, for you to compare. So that's good. Good, and now going to the sentences and expressions you need to tell a story well. So to start off, ways to start off a story. You can start with, first of all, la da 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 da, or to start with, blah 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 blah, initially, or to begin with. So if you're talking about, let's say, what you did last weekend, you can say, first of all, I went to the supermarket, and then you have connection sentences as well. You can say, and then after that, later on, I'm going to get into that in more details. So that is a very good way to organize your story. So first off, or to start off with. So very nice. Or you can say, initially I thought this was a bad idea, but then I and then you can keep going with your story. Now, continuing the story, like I said, you can use then. So, I went to the supermarket the other day and I was buying some groceries. Then I went to the gas station to put some gas in my car. And you can say after that. So after going to the supermarket, next, and then as soon as, as soon as. So for example, you can't believe it. I went to the supermarket last Saturday, and as soon as I walked into the door, bam, there was a whole mess, a whole confusion. Somebody had tripped over a display, and all the cereal boxes were in the ground, for example. You can say, but then, so you can say, I was walking on the street the other night and somebody was following me and I got very afraid, but then I realized it was my good friend, Andrew, that was trying to call my attention. So, a lot of different good sentences. Okay. Interruptions on your story. Like my Paris story, I can say, oh, I was very tired and I was trying to find my friend's house when suddenly a motorcycle hit me on the crosswalk. Or you can say unexpectedly. Both are okay. Or out of the blue. That's also an expression. I was crossing the street when out of the blue, like unexpectedly, a motorcycle came and hit me. So, yeah, not fun. My knee was hurting for like 6 months. Okay. Oh, that is very good. Time sequencing. So when you're talking about time, first of all, you can say, when you're talking about some time ago, you can say, oh, 2 weeks ago, I was doing these and da-da-da. A month ago, I was at the supermarket when I saw a good friend of mine. And after that, we went for coffee. You see? You can also say while. So, for example, you can say, I went to the coffee shop to work. And while I was there, I saw my good friend, Betty. So while I was there, the time, the duration that I was there. Very good. And then finally, to end your story, you can use words like finally, or in the end, or eventually. So, for example, in my Paris story, I can say, finally, I did not go to the hospital. And eventually, my friend got to where I was to help me get to her house. So, very good ways for you to use those important sentences. And the last thing I want to teach you today is about talking about the story or the plot of something. The plot is the story of a movie or book. So you can say, oh, the movie was about a girl that moved to the United States of America and found love. So, so the movie was about, or the movie is about. You can use present or past. The book is about. The book is about sharks. Or the book is about the story of Albert Einstein. Whatever you want. And if you want to tell somebody a story that a friend of yours told you, you can say, oh, you won't believe, my friend told me that da-da-da-da-da, or my friend told me about the event that was happening in the concert hall. So all of those things are good. So I'm going to encourage you to use all of these resources. I'm giving you one video from a girl that's called Jade, and she's a very good teacher. I like her teaching style, and she teaches you different expressions than the ones I'm telling you. And the website I'm sending you has a quiz after it. So I would encourage you to do the quiz. The video is very short, and then the quiz is just like, a way for you to practice. Second thing is I'm sending you a 5-minute podcast with 3 sentences that you can listen to and read in the website about, storytelling. So that's another resource. And the last one is, well, actually, I'm going to send you 4 resources today. So the next one is the website that I used to give you those sentences today. And in the end of the page, there is a sequencing quiz for you to be able to use, first of all, then, finally. And I will also send you the BBC website link with the 2 stories for you to compare the ways to tell your story. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is to think about a story that happened to you, or about a book or a movie, and write it down with all the content I'm giving you. Write it down, doesn't need to be long, just a paragraph. And then tell that story to the native speaker when you speak to them, either today or next time you speak to them. Okay? Tell a story. Telling stories is a great way for you to connect yourself to the language. And I'm giving you a lot of resources for you to be able to do that. Okay? So have a good Thursday and happy storytelling.